Good afternoon, everybody. We'd like to welcome everybody today to the 2017 Hurricane Awareness Fair. I'm hoping everybody's feeling good tonight. We have a whole bunch of prizes for everybody. We have a whole bunch of information for you all so that you all can get ready in case of a hurricane or any other type of emergency. And we want to go ahead and get things started. We're going to be going through several things here, several presentations. We're going to have several speakers talking about drainage. We're going to be talking about, basically our emergency response, all the different services that are available during an emergency. So get ready for a whole bunch of pertinent information that you all need. At this moment, though, we want to take a moment to introduce our honorable mayor of the city of Brownsville, Mr. Tony Martinez.
Everybody here, I've been doing this for 6 years, okay? And I think everybody now, most of the faces I see here are very familiar faces. Not only are you friends, but you know where the goodies are, right? This is again, doing the job that I do, I do it with a lot of love, and I do it with a lot of commitment. And I don't know how to go any other speed but Tony's speed. And that is trying to do the best that we can. And so when I have an event like today, I make sure that I'm here because as much as there's a whole lot of division in our political system and a whole lot of different things that are going on, which I don't particularly care for, if we all remember that we're all brothers and sisters of one family, and we have to take care of each other. And so when people like Charlie Cavler sitting back there and all these folks do their very, very best to keep you all safe and bring you hurricane awareness, it's really important to me because they put in their best foot forward. And so, in spite of all the seriousness and all the things that are going on in the world, tonight is a night for information, a night for goodies, a night for love, a night for sharing, a night for understanding that we are our brother's keeper, okay? So I know that the many things that I've learned over 6 years, but the one thing that I have learned about the city of Brownsville more than anything in the world, they've got the biggest heart that you'll ever want to find. And the biggest heart is all of you guys that are sitting here. But don't forget, God willing, we don't have a hurricane, but if we do, we're going to be prepared, and by the same token, we're going to be not only prepared, we're going to be ready, and we're going to be ready to extend the hand to our neighbors. So thank you all for being here. Enjoy. Hopefully you all get a lot of good goodies, but be sure when you leave here, there's only a certain amount of people that are here. There's a whole lot of folks out there getting free hot dogs, okay? But share with them what you learned. Share with them the idea that we are a family. And share the idea that all those little kiddos are well worth the effort that we make to keep them safe, because those are the people that are going to lead this community, one day. So lots of love to all of you. Have a great time. And God willing, we'll not only see you next year, we'll see you here at the next event. Okay? Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and start off the fun tonight. We're going to invite our mayor to draw the first number for our first drawing tonight.
Which one do you want me to?
Just go ahead and...
Who wants to pay me off?
Yeah, just open it up.
The first prize goes to 22618. Oh, darn, he says. Okay. 22618. Look at your bracelets. Well, someone snuck out. Let me try one more, okay, if you don't mind. Okay, how about 22630? Where'd they all go? No. 22630. Okay, well, there's another one. Okay, try again. 2222588. All right, got a winner. Okay. Congratulations. I'm not sure what your prize is, but there you go.
Thank you very much, Mayor. A gift card from Lola's. We're going to do another door prize right before we go ahead and get started with our presentation. Everybody look at your bracelets and memorize that number. 22574. 22574. There we go, sir. Everybody, let's give our winner a big round of applause. We're going to go ahead and introduce our illustrious city manager at this moment, Mr. Charlie Kabler.
Illustrious? Yeah. Illustrious or luscious? Yeah. What a wonderful crowd. One of the first things we learned today is we need a bigger parking lot. No doubt about that, right? But we are so impressed by the fact that we have so many people that are interested in the awareness of any type of disaster, in this case, hurricane disaster. As you know, we're very vulnerable to that. We've been very fortunate over the years that we haven't had one, but preparing ourselves for that is very important and vital to each and every homeowner, business in our city. We need to make sure that we are taking care of our families, ourselves, and prepare if we do have that by many people turn on the TV and they're on HBO, Cinemax, and that's fantastic. But always remember that you need to get on the local channels once in a while and check our forecast. You never know when our weather's going to change, especially during those vulnerable times. And that's the purpose for this event, to see if we can educate you. And what we want is when we do offer you all this information, that you pass it on to as many of your families and friends. And so it can be spread. That the number one priority for us during these events is protecting our people, protecting our families, protecting our pets, and all that. It's been a tradition to do the event here, so I need to take time to thank our staff, Odie, Leal, and our emergency management staff, Jerry Hitchcock, and our library staff, and of course all the first responders that work with us during events, if we do have one. We pray to God, and like the mayor said, you know, we're one family when it comes to these events, all of us taking care of each other. Pray to God that we don't have such an event. But as you can see throughout the country, things happen, tornadoes and things like that, and you see the effects of such. But you also see the effects and the positive families, people uniting to help each other out. And that's the purpose of this event. We want to make sure that we prepare ourselves and get ready in case something like this happens. But after this, tomorrow, Sunday, we go to church and pray to God that it never does. So God bless all of you, and thank you for being here.
Shelter at the sports park.
What was that?
If a storm came,
Uh-huh.
how do they decide who gets to use the hurricane center at the sports park?
Yeah, we do have a shelter at the sports park that unfortunately, all the plans were to have 12 in the city at one time. And, based on politics and issues in Washington and Austin, we got one. But that doesn't mean that we don't open up other locations that we designate for shelters. And what we do is, we identify the vulnerable locations in the city and get those people to safe if they wish to do so. We still have the route to get the people out of the city as well. But we work with BISD School District and other areas that we know that they have a location for us to be able to take as many people as we can that want a request shelter. So nobody gets left out of shelter. And then, of course, we do have the routes, like I noted, the evacuation routes that get us out of the city. And we'll be working, if we do get one. Okay, I have to concede that I am a granddad, okay? So, yes, good question. Thank you so much. What did he take? Who got a blank?
Here, no.
Oh.
Let me.
Oh, I don't have my glasses.
The number's 22629. 22629. If you're holding that number, there we go. Our next winner is 22646. 22646. Let's give both our winners a hand. The first prize is a gift card from Johnny Carinos. And that is compliments from RGV Shutters. It is a coffee cup, a drinking cup. Let's give them a round of applause again.
The Yeti.
A Yeti cup, there we go.
He's taking over.
And our next winner is 22552. 22552. Coming up, ma'am. Let's give her a big round of applause. And that's going to be a gift card, compliments of Target. So we're going to go ahead and continue with our program now. But before we do, we want to give the most important people here a hand, and that's each and every single one of you for coming today and for choosing to get informed about emergency situations and all the services and all of the things that are available to you in such a case. So give yourselves a round of applause for showing up today. At this moment, we're going to introduce Mr. Jose Figueroa from our Public Works Department, and he's going to be our first presenter tonight.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jose Figueroa. I'm an environmental coordinator and a stormwater manager, as well as a drainage supervisor in the Public Works Department. And I'm here to talk about, actually I'm here to ask a question to see if, are you ready for the hurricane season? And you feel it? Okay, let's go in. So hurricane season is declared from June 1st to November 30. The month when storms are most frequent on the Texas coast are August and September. However, I would like to mention that this time we have an early start. I don't know if you heard about it, but in the Pacific we had, I believe it was Andrew. It was the first hurricane. It was a little bit early. So even though we've been experiencing a little bit of drought conditions here in Brownsville, if you look around, we've been experiencing a lot of heavy storms in neighbor cities such as McAllen or Laredo. So talking about public works, what do? We do road maintenance, ditch and canal maintenance, street sweeping. We do the landscaping on some city property. We provide sandbags during storm events, and we manage the city of Brownsville municipal landfill. And we have a commitment with the public to be sure that, to assure you that we get ready year-round, we make sure that we work year-round in order to get ready for this season by keeping all the canals clean, as an example depicted on the picture, by keeping all the culverts and all the inlets free of debris so the water can flow to mitigate flooding. As you all know, we live in a river delta. It's they used to call it the valley because it sounds more attractive, but we live in a really low area. So flooding here, it's unfortunately a big issue and it's unpreventable, but we can mitigate and we try to alleviate everything as fast as we can. So as I said, we have that commitment and we can assure you that we are as ready as we can to receive hurricane season. But the question again is, are you ready? So, talking about your house in specific, lack of preparation is the biggest factor of hurricane devastation. So what do you do today could be what keeps you safe tomorrow. Well, I already mentioned that line, but I'll say it anyway. We at Public Works commit ourselves to make sure that the public right-of-ways, such as roads and canals and city buildings, are prepared. So how do you prepare your house? I mean, I know that the little puppy in the picture is ready. Well, the first things first is have a plan. Develop an evacuation plan. Yeah, that's the worst case scenario. Nobody wants to leave his house, but just in case, we always need to have a plan. We need to assemble disaster supplies, just in case we have to stay over there. Let's say electricity run out. I mean, again, the storm happened recently, and a lot of cities in Matamoros were out, and on the other side of the border were out with no power. So having supplies ready can make a difference to sustain the lack of power here. Because as you know, it's agreed. If something happens, it's just not a matter of flipping a switch and the power will be back. There's a lot of stuff that our partners at PUB has to do in order to restore services in an event of a disaster. Secure an insurance checkup. Of course, that's something that you always must do. Have an insurance agent to go to your house and do a checkup, make sure that you have everything, your paperwork in row, because that can be also the difference between a fast claim, something to recover your money, or like spending a couple months on paperwork. And strengthen your home. And most importantly, let's try to be, to show that energy that characterizes the valley and look for, check on our neighbors. I mean, our neighborhood, it should be another line of defense, and we need to help each other. We need to remind the people and assist the ones that cannot assist themselves in order to strengthen their houses. And we can always use resources such as ready.gov and communicate, of course, we're a call center here. Because, as I mentioned, we're here to help. Now, pre-hurricane maintenance, what can you do? Like in this week, for example, what can you do in order to get ready for that season? Well, we need to cut back all trees and weak branches, especially the ones that make contact with buildings. We need to thin their foliage so wind can flow freely through the branches, decreasing the chance that trees, plants, and other shrubbery will be uprooted. We need to place the tree trimmings at the curb on your regular scheduled collection day. This is really important. You don't want the rusty leaves to start just flying off of your curve and clogging the storm drains, because that's, believe me, that's a big issue. Make sure to contact your the call center and make sure that you know when is your scheduled route for collection. Something really important as well, try to follow the 640 rule. You might have not heard about it, but it's easier for the brush pickup, and it makes the job a lot more efficient if you get branches not longer than 6 feet and make sure that they don't weigh more than 40 pounds. Containerize your tree trimmings, such as pine needles, leaves, twigs, all those small things, and I'm sure I have spoken out in the past if you have been attending to the seminars and the workshops that we offer. All the leaves, they are clocks waiting to happen. If you have one single one, of course it's not going to do anything on a 30-inch storm drain or a 20-inch storm drain. But if you have a bunch, a whole bag of it, I mean, they can cause a lot of damage. Clean your yard of any items that could become missiles in a storm, such as old lumber, broken lawn, furniture, etc. And try to schedule repairs to your home in a timely manner. I mean, now it's a good time to replace a window, not during the storm, of course. And I wanted to depict this on the image over there, and I love that I found with a palm because I feel that we can relate. If you see if you don't think that wind can actually pick up, I don't know, a small item of furniture on your lawn or even a branch, you can tell, for example, of a Category 1 hurricane, it's enough just to blow the leaves. And the leaves might be just, maybe a small bucket. But if you go to a Category 3 or a 5, which I hope on God that we don't get it, it can actually uproot a whole tree. And if they can do that to a tree, imagine what can we do to anything that is just laying there in your garden. So you don't want those things hitting your windows. Now, I call this my donut slide, and you're going to realize in a while what. Because this is what you have to do once a storm has been named. Do not cut down trees or do any major yard work. Do not begin construction projects that can produce debris. Now you see why it's my donut slide? Once a hurricane watch or warning is issued, do not trim vegetation of any kind. Try not to be outside. Try not to do everything that you were supposed to do during the preventive maintenance. Don't do it. Don't wait till the last minute. And when you, excuse me? Oh, I heard something? No? Oh, sorry. Another issue when you try to do everything last minute is that mass cutting places a tremendous burden on the normal collection service. So we are overloaded with work, and we don't have enough manpower to service the 200,000 people that we have living in Brownsville. And of course, do not place materials at the curb or take materials to the landfill during a watch or warning. More than likely, if it's already a storm watch or warning has been issued, the landfill is going to be closed because every single public work employee is going to be out there trying to do their best to work for you guys, for the community, to make sure that we are safe and ready to receive the hurricane. Now, during the storm, it's about staying inside. Away from windows, skylights, and glass doors. Find a safe area in the home. An interior room is always the best one. A lot of people choose the bathroom. Normally, they fill, if they have a bathtub, they fill it with water so they can have some spare water to service. That should be also part of your disaster supplies. It's a nice tip to have. If flooding threatens home, turn off electricity at the breaker, at the main breaker. Don't risk yourself that the water goes high enough to actually cause a shortcut or worse. Do not use electrical appliances, including your computer. I mean, it's not safe especially when we have heavy lightning and thunder. It's better if you have one of those awesome radios that has the emergency service, and they will start, if there's something that you have to do or an evacuation, it's required, they will let you know through that radio. And obviously, do not go outside. I mean, if the eye of the storm passes over your area, there will be like a short period of calm, but then right after the eye passes your area, you're going to start getting the wind coming from the other side with the same strength as the beginning. So it's something that you need to avoid trying to do. it's easy to be hit by flying debris when you're out there, and sometimes we just feel like, let me go out and just test the way and see how it's going. I mean, don't be that guy, please. Uh, Beware of lightning. Stay away from electrical equipment. Don't use the phone or take a bad shower during the storm. I don't know if this is a true story, but my grandma told me that one of my aunts was struck by lightning when she was taking a shower. It was back in El Rancho, but I don't risk myself, so you shouldn't do the same. I don't know if it's a myth or not, but don't risk it. Uh, After the storm has passed, stay posted to news for information about regular garbage and yard waste collection service. Again, if you want to give a startup and start like cleaning up your house, make sure that you containerize all household garbage in plastic bags or cans and place it at the curb for your scheduled collection day again. We're trying to bring all back to normal. It's gonna take a time, but you can always call the call center, say, hey, when's that's gonna happen, so you can schedule it and you know how long it's gonna be sitting there. Never place debris on a fence, vehicles, mailbox, or power lines. It's insecure for yourself while you're doing it, and it's insecure for our operators that are picking up the brush. I mean, the debris is covering, if the debris is covering up a power line and we go with a metal machine to actually grab that power line, I mean, expect the worst. I mean, it's not something safe for us. We're already out helping out the community. Please help us to protect our personnel. And please be patient. Following a storm, our number one priority is the collection of household garbage because we know what it can produce. So we know it attracts pests and contributes to the spread of disease. And of course, we have the mosquitoes, we have all the Zika, the chikungunya, the dengue. So we want to make sure that we can be as efficient as possible. But I mean, I can tell you, we are 168 employees of Public Works, and it's a lot of space that we have to service out there. And I mean, I wish this was an option to get rid of hurricanes, but obviously it's not. Any questions that I can answer? Yes, sir. You know, I believe the strongest one hit when I was not even born. It was at Beulah. That's the one that actually hit, but I think it was, well, obviously on the late 70s. Oh, 67. Thank you very much. I believe it was 4, but I might be wrong. I'm not, again, I was not born. A category 3? Thank you, it was a category 3. I'm trying here. Any other questions that I can help you out? Well, is that the case? Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your attention, and thank you for being here.
Let's give Mr. Figueroa a big round of applause for all that information. And we're going to go ahead and move right along, and we're going to bring up Ms. Abby Torres, Executive Director for 211 registration, and she is going to be doing the next presentation.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Abby Torre, and I work for the Community Council of the Rio Grande Valley, and better known as the 211 Texas program. Okay, so what is 211? So 211 is a nationwide three-digit code that is used kind of like 911 for emergencies. 211 is used for health and human services. We are free. We are in multiple languages. We are 24/7, and we have skilled professional call specialists who are certified to provide the latest information, especially during a hurricane or a disaster, any type of event, actually. We have a current database of more than 20,000, and their services. There are 24 area information centers, or 211s, all over the state of Texas only. But of course, 211 is also nationwide. We fall under the program 211. The Community Council is located in Weslaco, and we are open 24/7, like I mentioned, but we fall under the agency under Health and Human Services Commission, which their agency that we pertain to belongs to Texas Information and Referral Network. Mainly what we do is during Hurricane Katrina and Rita, the state decided, hey, 211 is free. We can go ahead and utilize that system during a hurricane or an event. So that's how we became very well known after Hurricane Katrina. But in reality, our agency has been in existence since 1996, and we just completed our 20th anniversary. We work very closely with the state emergency information referral support. We work with a lot of agencies to provide resources during a disaster or an event. We currently belong to the VOAD. There is actually an agency right now, active only during disasters, that we belong to. So some of the facts is that hurricane events can add as much as 200,000 additional calls to the system of 211. It's not usual for Texas to receive calls from other states. You know, we sometimes during Hurricane Katrina, we assisted a lot of agencies. The call center here in Weslaco back then received over 74,000 calls just during Hurricane Katrina event. So 211 Texas provide callers with vital information such as road closures, evacuation information, where to go get, for example, where to go for a shelter, what are some of the shelters, where to go get information maybe on soup kitchens, who's providing water, who's providing sandbags, resources like that. That's the type of information that 211 provides. And just one thing to remember, 211 is here 24/7. We are not only during a disaster active. So right now, if you were to dial 211 Texas, you can get also latest information as there's actually some options. So if you need community resources in your area, for example, where do I apply for food stamps? How can I access my food stamp case? Where can I get, I lost my job, I don't know how to apply for unemployment. All of those resources we currently have in our database. So it's not only during a disaster or an event. So this is what happens when someone dials 211. First, they have to press for 1 or 2 for the language. And then after that, they select the service. So option 1 will bring you to my department. Here in the Rio Grande Valley, will come to your area information center, which they are selected in the state by the area code. So for example, if you have an area code of 956, it will come to our call center. If you have an area code of 512, it will go to Austin call center 211, and so on and so forth. So some of the options that you can see are there. Option 2 is for Medicaid, TANF, SNAP, food stamps, better known as SNAP now. Option 3 is for the Office of the Inspector General to report any fraud or abuse or neglect. Then there's also option 4, which is what we're here today, to tell you a little bit about the State of Texas Emergency Assistance Registry. And then option 8, right now it's being used for the mental health and substance abuse. So the call specialist, you will get a live representative that would tell you, assess your caller's needs, what kind of need you're looking for. After that, they will prioritize the need, search on our database, and then clarify and give you whatever information you're looking for. It can be something short as, I don't know where to go renew my driver's license. Where can I go? I live in Brownsville. So we can give you that information as basic. We can also take a call for a crisis. I have anxiety, I have thoughts of suicidal, and I don't know what to do, where to turn, where to go. So our call specialists are certified to provide information for crisis also. So option 4, the purpose of the STEER registry is to identify individuals who may not be able to evacuate their homes during an event, a disaster, emergency. So that information is being given to the local emergency planners. It's just a planning tool so that your local emergency managers can plan, can prepare as to how many people might need assistance during a disaster or an event. So these are the 2 ways that people can register. It's not only for the elderly. Sometimes it may be a single mom, with 4 or 5 children with no transportation, and might say, hey, I don't have transportation, and there's a hurricane coming. What do I do? Where can I go to? What shelter can I go to? So they can dial 211 for the registry phone, or they can also now, the state of Texas has a new website where families, almost nowadays, almost everybody have a smartphone or a cell phone, so they can also register online on your own. And it's gonna ask you a series of questions. What medication do you take? Do you require oxygen? Things like that. So that way, your emergency planners can prepare. These are some of the type of disaster calls that we get during, for example, Hurricane Katrina, Rita, Hurricane Dolly, all of those, Hurricane Gustav. We've been in all of them. So it says, should I evacuate? What do I bring with me? Sometimes families don't know what to take. During the registry, if they decide to register, there's also a question there about pets. Sometimes families don't want to leave their pets behind and they don't want to register. So there's also some questions there, if you can take what kind of pets would be allowed during a shelter. Or I'm trying to prepare, so where do I go get sandbags? And we can give you that information, the latest information. We coordinate with all the city emergency management. These are some different ones. Can a STEER form be filled out for someone else? Yes. You can be a caseworker, you can fill them out for them online, or your children can do it for you all, or a special friend, whomever. You need some, of course, you're gonna be giving them the information because they do require medications and things like that. What do I do if I move or I no longer need to be registered? You can call 211 and take yourself away from the registry. Now, the registry it needs to be done annually. It used to be that you would register only once and you will be in the system. Nowadays, you don't. You have to register once annually. So if you decide to move, you're gonna have to register again and give us the latest information. If you change your phone number, we need the latest information in case of an event or a disaster. So we also have a website that you can go and find your own resources. Where do I get counseling? Where do I get assistance for a burial, funeral expense? I need assistance with prescriptions, things like that. So you can go ahead and go to our website, which is 211texas.org. And there you can find your own resources. But of course, you can always dial 211 and get a live representative to do it for you. And that actually concludes my presentation. Do you all have any questions in reference to 211? Go ahead, sir. The center you get? Yes, correct. Actually, it depends. If it cannot determine your area code, what it would do, it will ask you, please enter the zip code that you're in right now. And that's how it will reroute you to our center. That's a very good question, actually. Yes. That's a very good question, yes. Anybody else? Okay, well, don't wait. Just register for 211. Dial 211 and register. Thank you so much.
Let's give Abby a big round of applause again. Thank you very much for that information. At this point, before we go on to our next presentation, we're going to go ahead and give out some more prizes. So again, look at your bracelet, look at that number, and go ahead and memorize it. We're going to call out the numbers twice and then move on to the next number. So pay close attention, listen up, and hopefully you will win. Our first number is 22583. 22583. We have a winner right over here. And while she comes up, we're going to go ahead and call our next number.
Just verify the number, ma'am.
Our next number, 22607. 22607. There we go. Coming up, sir. Our next number is 22659. 22659. Going once, going twice. Next number. 22735. 22735. Again, going once, going twice. 22735. Next number. 22562. 22562. There we go. Come on up, ma'am. Two two seven 2-1. 22721. Anybody? 22721. No? Okay. Two two six 1-1. 22611. Nobody. Okay, we're going to try again. This is our last prize, and then we're going to go ahead and go on to our next speaker. 22597. 22597. There we go. Oh, we have. Let me see. 225. Oh, that's 87.
That's 8. Oh, he told me
Yes, it is-
97.
No, it says 22587.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks like a
Let's give a big round of applause to all our winners. And we're going to go ahead and move on to our next presentation. We've got Leo the lineman from Brownsville, PUB. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Good afternoon, I'm Leo the lineman. I've been with PUB for 13 years,
And I guess everybody here has ever used electricity, or have they ever never have used electricity? Everybody has. So the main thing is that electricity is, we use it every day, but it can also be extremely dangerous if it's if we have any faults or anything at the house. We're outside. We're so close to hurricane season. We're a week away from hurricane season, and just a couple of days ago in Laredo, they got it really bad. The same thing could happen over here. There was electrical power lines on the ground, on the street. There was actually, unfortunately, there was a fatality. You know, that's what we're here to give out information to avoid to avoid a fatality or a serious injury. If you see a power line on the ground, always assume it's energized. Always, even if you know that they de-energize it, you never know, because for example, when a hurricane hits, a lot of people lose power, and they have a generator, and they plug their appliances to the generator, and sometimes that generator feeds back to the power lines, and it could go back feeding, and you get extremely hurt just by touching that power line if you don't have the proper equipment to move it for. In case you ever see a power line on the ground, or a sparking wire, or a transformer on fire, either call 911 or call any utility company that is designated to the area where you're at. It doesn't have to be just PUB. We could assist, because our priority is your safety. Any questions so far? I know I'm going a little bit fast, but there's no such thing as a bad question or a dumb question, because safety is extremely important. You have a question, sir? Who lives close by a substation? Or has ever seen a substation? Who here has kids? These have kids, correct? I mean, sometimes, like, you hardly see any kids play in the street anymore, but oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to speak a little bit louder. We have children, and sometimes they're playing on the street, they go to a friend's house, or they're playing any kind of ball, baseball, soccer ball, or they're flying their kite. I mean, it's extremely important to play away from the power lines, because a kite can be a conductor if you're holding it from the ground. Or let's say, for example, one of the balls goes into a substation and he crosses that fence. There's always a number on the substation, or any place that PUB or any electrical company has anything electrified, that you call that number, we could get that stuff for you, or we could schedule a date when we go get it for you, because an accident can happen, and sometimes, unfortunately, there's no second chances with electricity. Who here has ever heard the expression, "Te vas a quedar pegado"? Yeah, it's true. It's true. And if you get stuck and you're home alone, I mean, or let's say, for example, a tree falls in one of the power lines in the back of your house, and you want to move just the branch. You're not even touching the power line, but that branch wood is also a conductor, and you could grab the branch and you could get electrified. And unfortunately, death could occur. So, I mean, even if you're gonna do electrical work around your house, or replace the breakers in your house, you could call us and we could de-energize, so that way you could work safe at no charge. There's not gonna be a charge or anything. Any questions so far? No? Yes, ma'am? If you see a power line on the street, does anybody know the correct distance from that power line? It's over 30 feet. 30 feet is pretty far away. Electricity can travel up to 30 feet, even if there's not a conductor on the ground. The ground itself can be the conductor, because there's minerals on the ground. There could be water on the ground. Not too long ago, I was watching the Animal Planet, and there was about 8 or 9 deer fried on their path. A transmission line had fallen about 60 feet away, and usually deer have their own path,
and one kept flying, passing by, and boom, they kept falling. Boom, boom, they kept falling. The thing is, the ground was electrified 60 feet radius around. So all the animals that were close by, they died. And I mean, unfortunately, there was no human accident, but it could happen to us if we're not careful. That's why if you have any questions, any concerns, or anything involving electricity or power lines on the ground, you could call us and we'll guide you the proper way. Like the lady before me, you could dial 211 and they could give you all kinds of information. Because not just power lines are just going through the poles. There's a lot of power lines on the ground as well. Let's say you're going to build a fence, you're going to put a tree, you're going to move a tree, and you don't know exactly where the power lines are going, and you need to know. You could call us, and we could guide you where the power lines, how deep it is, and we could send a spotter out there, and they could tell you where the power lines are going. Not just power lines go through the ground, gas lines, phone lines, water lines, sewer lines. Everything can be spotted, and that way you could work safely. Okay, well, I guess that's it for my presentation. I mean, I know it was pretty quick, but if you have any more questions, my booth is outside, and I could answer any questions there. I'll still be here to the end of the presentation. All right? Yes, ma'am?
For example, like my mother that was planting trees everywhere. Basically, you just have to know where to look at.
You could call us, and we could send out there a spotter, and we could tell you. You usually send somebody that either they spot you with there's electric lines are going here, water lines, gas, or phone, because there's a lot of utilities going through the ground, and we don't know exactly which ones are going. No, there's no fee. There's no. Yeah, I mean, you could call us and we could send. We could if it's not even if it's not us that we're supplying electricity for you or water, we could guide you through the proper channels what to do. Because I mean, not just electricity can be dangerous. The sewer can be dangerous. Even water, a telephone. You know, a lot of people think the telephone lines are not energized, but and sometimes a lot of these poles have power lines, have telephone lines, and sometimes these lines come down and they make contact with the telephone lines, and they become energized.
Because I believe that because we don't have the electric wire going from everything else.
It's underground. Yeah, I mean it's best to call us, and we could send somebody out there so they could spot it. I mean, I'm glad I was able to help you out because, you know, you never know. Because sometimes since the ground, sometimes we don't get a lot of rain, and sometimes we do. The ground shifts, and the power lines go up. So sometimes they could be 4 feet deep, 6 feet deep, or sometimes they could go up. It all depends on what kind of soil there is, because it moves. So, all right, any more questions? Go ahead, sir. There is somebody 24/7 there, sir. But the thing is, if they get swamped with calls, it's just like anybody else. I mean, there's going to be a first call, first answer. So let's say a power line or a sewer line breaks close to a neighborhood where there's like 30 people there, and everybody knows about it. All those 30 people are going to call at the same time, and the line's just going to keep getting busy because everybody's reporting the same incident. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's what everybody's going through, the automated, because you can leave a message and we'll get through it. But the best choice is 911, and they could call us through the radio. I mean, I know it is. The thing is that, I mean, there's so many dispatchers that answer at night. It's not like we have a call center there we have a call center during the day, but at night, there's only so many people that can answer the phone, and usually incidents that happen, it usually happens during the night, and it takes a while for them to answer. No, it's 24 hours. There's always gonna be a dispatcher there, even if it's like at 3 in the morning on a Sunday morning, on a Sunday, even if it's Christmas. If you don't get an answer from our dispatchers, call 911. If it's even if it's not an extreme emergency, and they'll get a hold of us. And, correct. Thank you, Judy. There's an app as well that you could send via email or even text. Correct. Text that we could get to it. And there's always somebody on standby 24 hours a day. All right. Any more questions? No? I guess that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Let's go ahead and give Leo, the lineman, a big round of applause again. Thank you for that information, Leo. We're going to go ahead and do a few more prizes before we go on to our next presentation. Our first number is 22631. 22631. 22631. Over here. Thank you, man. Next number. Two 22556. 22556. There we go. Two 22727. 22727. 22727. 22727. 22768. 22768. 22768. 22768. 22642. 22642. And we're going to do one more. Mm-hmm. 22685. 22685. 22685. 22685. 22762. 226, I'm sorry, 22762. 22762. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and continue. We're going to go ahead and bring on up, oh, I'm sorry, one more. It's going to be 22553. 22553. 22553. 22553. There we go. We have a winner. And while she gets her prize, we're going to go ahead and bring on up our next presenter, Mr. Eleazar Ruiz. He's coming from Brownsville, PUB, and he's going to talk about the tree program, Trade a Tree program. Let's give him a big round of applause and a warm welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eleazar Ruiz, and I work for the Electrical Engineering Department at BPUB. Aside from my engineering duties, one of my tasks is to oversee the vegetation management program. And this presentation is going to provide some brief information on what services PUB offers. Where's the... Okay, thank you. Okay. So the objective of the tree trimming program is to clear our overhead power lines and to prevent them to coming into contact with our energized power lines. This type of work is outsourced to a contractor. The reason this is done is because they have specialized equipment and are professionals at doing the work that is needed. Here are some pictures of a tree trimmer that's up on a tree clearing our power line. We strongly advise everyone to please report any trees that are close to our power lines. Even if you're not sure if they belong to PUB, we will send somebody out there to investigate and clear the necessary limbs from the power line. One reason that we like to be very proactive in this is because of the high winds that we encounter here. They make it a challenge when we get strong winds, limbs start coming into contact, or the palm fronds will fall from the palm tree, and somehow they end up in our power lines, even if they're a good distance away from the lines. Like I mentioned earlier, this service is outsourced, and currently the contractor that we hired to do this type of work is ABC Professional Tree Services, and they are composed of 13 employees. They have 3 bucket trucks and 2 manual trucks. Where we can't get into the property using a bucket, we will send our manual crew, and they will do the necessary climbing and pruning that is needed. Now, in a case of an emergency where, God forbid, a hurricane was to hit, and we have a lot of trees that have fallen and have been down by winds, then we go ahead and contact the contractor, and they will send us extra crews to help with the matter. And this goes both ways with on our end and from other utilities across the state. We have a clearing cycle that is scheduled by quadrants. Currently, our crews can be located in the northeast section of the city, but we can also find them in any other place where we service, and people like yourselves will call in a concern, and then we will go ahead and dispatch a crew that can help out with the problem. Now, priority is given to our transmission lines, just because those transmission lines are the source for the residential, commercial, and if vegetation was to come into contact with one of those lines, then we would lose a lot of power to a large amount of customers. So that is the reason why we prioritize that line. Now, oftentimes the contractor will go to a location where it was requested, or they're following their clearing cycle and they need access to the backyard, or they will request the customer to move their vehicle, or for any other reason that the contractor needs to make contact with the customer. And if they're not at their home at that time, they will leave a door hanger with instructions to contact the foreman of the company. And it is available in English and Spanish. And then we can go ahead and, once you contact us or that phone number that is in the door tag, we can go ahead and schedule a time that works best for you. One of the big issues is knowing where to plant a tree. Oftentimes, there's tall trees that come into contact constantly with our power lines. I do understand that some people really are, they give a large importance to their trees, and we ask that you give us permission to go ahead and trim the tree. Most of the time, once we explain to the customer how this affects your service, we are granted permission to trim the trees. If the customer refuses, then we just make a note of it, and we move on to other locations. And this illustration here depicts the distance that a tree would be needed to be planted to avoid those type of conflicts. But before you plant or you dig you start digging, we strongly advise you to call 811. Like my colleague here was saying, if you call 811, they will go out there and locate the utilities for you. Oftentimes, we get direct calls, but we do refer you to 811 since they are contracted by PUB to locate PUB's utilities. Another situation that we encounter is trees near our electrical equipment. As you can see in this picture, there's a few palm trees that have obstructed that what we call it's a transformer. And it makes it very difficult for our personnel to maneuver around it. And in this case, we requested the owner of that property to give us permission to trim down the palm tree. And I also have a picture and that slide showing the appropriate clearances that we require for our transformers or junction boxes. Here are some pictures of the clearing that was done at a subdivision. These power lines were located in the rear of the property, and as you can see, they do the V-cut, or they will trim the side that is going towards the power lines. Palm trees. Palm trees are a big issue in this area, just because, like I mentioned earlier, the fronds tend to float into the lines, even if they're not directly underneath or right next to our power lines. Sometimes you will see palm trees that are trimmed most possible, as in the first picture there. They removed all the fronds, but as long as they don't top it off, that palm tree will continue to grow. And they do regenerate palm fronds very, very quickly. Here's another picture showing, the first picture shows a palm tree that came into contact with our conductor. And you can see that charred area. That's where the palm tree was making contact. Oftentimes when vegetation comes into contact with our power lines, we will get some type of interruption. Sometimes you will see it, sometimes you don't. But that is why it's so important to have the lines clear of vegetation. And another thing I should mention is that when we say remove, we actually mean level it to ground level. We don't have the equipment, nor does the contractor have the equipment to extract a stump. Now, we do have a program that encourages customers to let us remove the tree that is directly underneath the primary line. What that means is the primary line usually carries more voltage than what you usually see going into your house. And basically what this program does is it allows us to remove the tree that is directly underneath, and we will plant another tree of your choice, with considering the amount of the tree also. We will plant it at another place where you would like that tree. I must remind you that this program is only applicable for the trees that are located under primary lines. This picture here shows the replacement of a palm tree. We work closely together with the city of Brownsville, the forest, and the forester to relocate palm trees if possible. Sometimes it's impossible to replant a palm tree just because of the utilities that are underground, or the machine itself cannot do the extraction successfully. Here are some types of trees that are recommended to plant depending on the distance. And all this information can be located in our website, the PUB's website. We also participate in a program called the Tree Line USA utility, which it helps us and the forestry department work together and show that trees and power lines can coexist. We've been a member, we've qualified for this certification for 12 years. There's certain documentation that is to be submitted, and also we need to demonstrate that we are involved in the community, raising awareness. So in conclusion, what I want to reinstate and enforce is that if you are going to plant a tree with a height that is pretty tall, then please consider the figure that I showed. Don't plant it anywhere near maybe 20 feet from the power line. If it's a small tree, then there's no issue with that. But just for future service reliability, we do ask that you plant the tree in the right place. And please call 811. And if you see any issues with the trees coming into contact with the power line, please call our number, our dispatch, and they will make a service request, and we will issue it out to the contractor. Thank you.
That was Mr. Eleazar Ruiz from Brownsville PUB with the Trade a Tree program and some other information. Let's give him a big round of applause. We're going to go ahead and do some more prizes before our next presenter. So everybody start looking at your bracelets, start memorizing those numbers. And the room goes silent. 22689. 22689. 22689. 22689. Anybody? Nobody wants it? Nobody's got that number? Okay, next number. 22775. 22775. 22775. 22775. Next number. 22712. 22712. 22712. 22712. Man, okay. Next number. 22676. 22676. 22676. 22676. Seriously, we want to give away these prizes. 22730. 22730. 22730. 22730. There we go. Come on up, sir. We're happy to see you. Two 22590. 22590. We have a winner. That's more like it. 22758. 22758. 22758. 22758. Going once. Going twice. Gone. Next number.
What number are you looking for? 51? They're in the bottom.
22726. 22726. 22726. 22726. Next number. Dos do. I think I called this one. Yeah. I called that one. That's the one. Those are the ones I just called. 22781. 22781. 22781. Anybody? 22781. 22781. Wow. I guess everybody's out there looking at the presentations. That's awesome. 22736. 22736. 22736. Way back there, the lady with the fan. There we go. 22782. 22782. 22782. 22782. No. Okay. 22668. 22668. 22668. 22668.
¿Qué número fue? 226 Spanish. 22 no.
22787. 22787. 22787. 22787. 22555. 22555. 22555. 22555. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so we are going to continue with our presentations. Bear in mind, if we call the numbers and you're not here, don't worry. Those numbers will go in there. The only numbers that get pulled from the pool are the actual winners. So if you weren't here, you will get another chance to win. So feel free to go out, look at our booths, get some hot dogs, go look at the emergency equipment that's outside, and all that kind of stuff, and all the information that's out there. Go ahead and take advantage. You can go ahead and take a look. There's plenty of prizes, and there's plenty of chances. So even if you're not here, you won't miss out. So we're going to go ahead and introduce our next presenter. That is Mr. Robert Rojas from Brownsville, PUB, and he's going to be talking about the Resaca Restoration Project. Welcome. Thanks, sir.
Give you a cold hand. Give you a cold hand. Pull out.
Presentation. Just hit that key.
Still, we're stuck in the confusion. What's that? I think we're still stuck in the Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Robert Rojas. I'm with Brownsville PUB Resaca Maintenance Department. I'm accompanied by a raw water department lead operator, Juan de Gollado. Also be speaking a little bit. So tonight we're here to give you an update on the Resaca Restoration project and how it affects hurricane preparedness. So a little history on the Resacas in Brownsville. So as the water is flowing down the river, the Rio Grande River, heading out to the Gulf, it's bringing loads of sediment. And the Resacas actually used to be channels that would cross Brownsville and take some of the river water out into the Gulf also. But within time and all that sediment, the Resacas got cut out from the river. And they pretty much became finger lakes, or what we call resacas. So originally, resacas were between 4 and 11 feet deep. But within time, agriculture and people building homes kept on depositing sediment into the resacas. So now the resacas hold only about 2 feet of water. As big as they are, it's only about 2 feet of water. So resaca restoration has been talked about by the city leaders back in the 80s. And restoration meant digging them out, removing the accumulated sediment, called the dredging, and also restoring the habitat around it, the banks. So basically we're talking about tonight the locations of the resacas, where they're at, the benefits of the project, the studies done by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, how much it costs, and how it affects our hurricane preparedness. So here's a map of Brownsville. The red line basically is the borders of Brownsville, or the outline of Brownsville. And as you can see, those squiggly lines, you see the orange lines is the Resaca de la Guerra. It starts up in Military Highway and works its way all the way to the airport. The green one up above the North Brownsville, that one's Resaca de Rancho Viejo. That one also crosses Brownsville and goes all the way to the Port of Brownsville, the navigation district. And then the little blue one in the bottom there, that's what we call Town Resaca. And that one includes the Dean Porter Park, City Cemetery Resaca, Gladys Porter Zoo, and Resaca Boulevard in that area. So altogether, there's over 50 miles of resacas in Brownsville. Okay, so here what we're showing is the watershed. In other words, when we have rain events, water has to flow somewhere. And some of the water will flow towards the river, very little bit of water. But as you notice, all the arrows are pointing out to the Gulf or the bay. And it's important that we have water leave the area, keep us from flooding, especially in heavy rain events. Okay, so we're looking at the project's benefits. So beginning in early 2013, Brownsville PUB initiated the first phase of restoring the resacas. Started with the Brownsville City Cemetery resaca. At the time, that resaca was holding about 6 inches of water. But when we finished, there was over 19,000 cubic feet of sediment, plus trash, tires, and stuff that was removed from there. So that all across the resaca, we got about 5 feet. Started from six inches all the way to 5 feet. So it gave us an extra 4 million gallons space of water to store storm water. If it rains, you have somewhere to put it. It doesn't stay on the roads and the buildings. So that reduces flooding, of course. Because as the water is draining out, if you got too much water on the roads trying to go to the drainage, it's going to back up, cause flooding. Water gets to go into the resacas. It stays off the road. Allows for people to be able to drive on the road in case they do have to evacuate. Okay, so here we see the resacas that have already been dredged. This phase, which is phase 1, has been completed. And the cemetery resaca, the Dean Porter Park, Gladys Porter Zoo, and the Resaca Boulevard, as you can see, it'll start at about 4 million gallons, up to 15 million gallons of extra space given to us, totaling about 30 million gallons of extra space for water to go to, keeping it off the roads and away from buildings. Now, if we did dredge all the 3 resaca systems, we'd wind up with an extra 727 capacity million gallons of water that would be able to store. So environmental benefits. This would include over 3,000 acres of aquatic and riparian habitat. So we're talking about aquatic, the removal of all that sediment, and we found out this because of a fish study, allows for the fish to go to the floors of the resacas and lay eggs and thrive. Now there's more fish in the resacas, of course it's deeper. Also the riparian, the areas, the banks around it, it's a great areas for migrating species of birds that would come and find food and cover. Also, very important, the riparian or the vegetation around the resacas also works as a filter, so it traps nutrients from surface runoff, keeping the resacas clean, and also creates a habitat for the endangered species like you see here, the ocelot and the red crown parrot. Now, as I mentioned before, bank stabilization, water quality, habitat quality, and of course, the improved aesthetics are still more benefits, right? So here we got some pictures. On the top picture right there is the city cemetery of Resaca. After it's already been finished. Before that was all monte. Now it's got native vegetation, trees. So the second picture there is you see a retaining wall. It's actually vegetation. It also, even though it's a retaining wall, it still filters water and allows animals to be able to climb up there, turtles, frogs, and stuff like that. So the ecosystem will survive. And then the very last, the bottom picture, that's a retention. It actually works as a filter. As the water is running off the road, down the curb, it'll catch in there, and it'll release clean water while the debris, trash, and all that stuff stays in that little retention pond there. Okay, so as long, along with more capacity for stormwater, there's also being able to use the resacas as reservoirs. There's been times when the river's been running low, we'd have to pull water from somewhere. If we had all this capacity for water, once we dredge the resacas, we'd be able to have somewhere to put the water, the extra water. So here we mentioned Permit 1838, which they allow us to capture water and keep it in case there's a critical need for water, and we'll have a place to store it and use it if we have it. And there it shows you how much sediment was built up. Of course, it's an animation, but it's a picture of how much sediment is built up on the resacas. Okay, so here's the resacas that have already been dredged. As you see, that the top resaca is the Resaca Boulevard. Down at the bottom is the Cemetery Resaca. The little red area there is the staging area where all the equipment that catches all the sludge before it gets trucked out. That's the little red area there. Then we got the Gladys Porter Zoo and Dean Porter Park resacas. So now phase 2, still in that same area. You can still see Resaca Boulevard and Dean Porter Park, but this is the area between Boca Chica and Palm Boulevard, which is around St. Joseph area. And that's the next phase that actually they allowed us to, they authorized us, the Army Corps of Engineers authorized us to dredge. So we get to the studies, there's the Resaca Boulevard study, which sampling of the water, vegetation, they assess the improvements, what needs to be done, and how much it's going to cost. So there was a $1.1 million that's included in that. And of course, you'll see where PUB matched with $362,000 of that. And then the Brownsville Resacas feasibility study, that includes all 3 resacas that I mentioned before, De La Guerra, Rancho Viejo, and Town Resaca. So that one, of course, we're looking at about a $3 million cost, and that study should be completed by 2018. So we come down to the cost of the project, and as you see, the $6.7 million that's put up there, that's equipment that's already been bought. That's all the equipment that we use to remove all the dredging material. That also. Then the next cost, we're looking at a $2.6 million annual operation maintenance fees, that for man hours and equipment, fuel, and what have you. And so the total cost of this, as you can pretty much see, it's a needed operation for Brownsville. It includes 3 resaca systems, and we're looking at over $272 million. Of course, that's over like a 10, or I'm sorry, take that back, about 17-year time period. So here on this slide, I'm going to pass it over to the raw water lead operator.
Good afternoon. My name is Juan de Gollado. I'm the raw water lead operator for Brownsville PUB. What my department does is we bring in the water off the river, the Rio Grande River, into our reservoirs, then into our water treatment plants, as well as our resaca system. Most of the inner city resaca system, the water that's there, gets in there via our system. So hurricane preparation, this is basically a collaborative effort with various entities to include Brownsville PUB, City of Brownsville, Public Works, Brownsville Irrigation District, and Cameron County Drainage District number 1. Those being really the most focal ones. There's other smaller entities as well. So in anticipation of an imminent hurricane, foreseeable one, we lower the resaca levels as much as we can, or as much as tolerable, to take in that extra volume and in anticipation of that actual extra volume coming in. We also monitor the resaca infrastructures. Throughout the city, we have various pumps, weirs, gate valves, overflow structures. So we can divert water as we need to either, obviously at this point, to push water out to make space for that extra water coming in. So this is basically how we prepare for in anticipation of an incoming hurricane. So we monitor the resacas throughout the year. Basically, that's what my department does. Not necessarily for this purpose, but throughout the year. But in situations like this, is obviously a lot more effort is put in there to really lower those levels for that much needed extra space that we need. Questions? Whether it's this slide or some other slide? Yes, sir. Well, Brownsville Pub, depending on the resaca where you're at or what portion, again, there's various entities that have water or store water in that area. Irrigation, PUB actually uses it as storage. The resaca de la guerra, one of the resacas, we could actually push water through the resaca to one of our water treatment plants, for example, to actually treat water. And we also, again, in cases, we have a couple of reservoirs. In cases there's an issue with one of our reservoirs, there's always water stored in the resaca so we can use as well. Quality of life. Irrigation purposes, PUB doesn't do that, but residents use it to irrigate their properties, their yards, residential irrigation. But there are entities such as Brownsville Irrigation District. They actually store it to sell the water to local farmers, actual irrigation, bigger properties, I guess. So there's various uses, and it all depends where you live throughout the city, though. For living? No, negative. Yeah, her question is I guess if you live along the resaca, and I guess whether you're taxed because you live right next to it or you use it, either or. The first one is if you live along the resaca, maybe your property value is a little bit higher. You know, that's something else. But if really at this point there is no regulation for you to actually install a little pump and push water, irrigate your yard, there isn't a regulation against that at this time, as far as I know. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, question. You're talking about as well the restaurant because there's one by the new Walmart by Paredes and HEB.
Okay. Okay.
Is that considered Osaka, right? Behind Walmart?
Yes, that is considered a Osaka, and I believe, I'm not too sure though, if that one's not managed by PUB, I don't know if the city is, the city of Brownsville does that one, I'm not too sure though. The event center one, basically. Correct. Yes, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. No, and for that purpose, for those purposes, if there's a safety issue out there, you're welcome to call either, more than likely actually Public Works, and they'll go out there and if it's a city issue, if it's a PUB issue, they'll go out there and check it out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. Yeah. No, anything related to safety, again, whether it's either usually Brownsville PUB or the city? Correct, yes. Correct. Wires. Yeah, definitely. No. Again, I encourage you just to call either or. Somebody will check it out. If it doesn't belong to them, they'll transfer it to the city or vice versa. So, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, that's what we like to do. But like, one of the things we pointed out, it's going to cost a lot of money. Somehow we need to get that money. We're looking at the Army Corps of Engineer to help us out. But yes, the plan is it needs to be done. It really would benefit Brownsville. It really would. Yes. What do you do with the sediment that you dredge? What do you guys put in it? What we're doing right now is the landfill is actually using it. Yeah, as we're being removed, going to the landfill, they have a certain section where they use it actually for the process of the landfill. Yes. Anybody else? Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Again, that was Robert Rojas from Brownsville PUB with the Resaca Restoration Project. We're going to go ahead and bring on Mr. Mike Castillo from the National Weather Service, and he's going to go ahead and be talking to us at this moment. Let's give him a big round of applause. It was that one.
Okay. Sorry about that. I guess we're having some technical difficulties. Okay. My name is Mike Castillo. I'm a meteorologist with the National Weather Service. Mr. Goldsmith was originally scheduled to give this presentation, but he had to go out of town for a family emergency. So I'll be doing his presentation for tonight, and if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. So we're looking at Hurricane Beulah. As everyone may not be aware, this is the 50th anniversary of Hurricane Beulah, which made landfall in 1967 here in the Brownsville area in the Rio Grande Valley. And so we're going to take a look at the impacts from Hurricane Beulah and what would be the impacts if we had another Hurricane Beulah to hit our area today. And so obviously there's been a lot of changes, but we'll take a look. So for those that are not familiar with Hurricane Beulah, it was a hurricane that started out in the Atlantic Ocean, and I think I have the track here. It started out near Barbados as a tropical depression on September 6th, and then became a major hurricane on September 9th, south of Puerto Rico. And then by the 13th, it had weakened to a tropical storm south of Jamaica. And then by the 15th, it re-intensified to a major hurricane just southwest of the Cayman Islands. And then by the 18th, on the 18th, it moved into the Bay of Campeche as a major hurricane on the 18th, east of Tampico. And then on the 20th, it was 67 miles south of Brownsville and Port Isabel and South Padre Island. That was when it was a Category 5 hurricane. So landfall was September 20th, just after midnight, and the wind was estimated a high Category 3, low Category 4 at landfall with a central pressure of 945 millibars. Just to let you know, there's not much difference between a high Category 3 and a low Category 4 hurricane. It's just a matter of like 5 miles an hour difference. Both Category 3 and 4 is considered a major hurricane. So whether it was a high Category 3 or a low Category 4, it doesn't really make a difference. The other thing that we saw with Beulah was the torrential rainfall associated with it. And so for our area, this was one of the most eventful rainfall associated with a hurricane, where we saw anywhere from 15 to 25 inches over the area as a whole. People kind of referred to the area as Lake South Texas because of all the rainfall that we got from Beulah back in '67. And the floodways that we have today, they failed in at least 2 places back then in '67. And we had considerable wind damage. We had 136-mile wind gusts at the ship channel interest here in Brownsville. We had 8 hours of hurricane force winds in Brownsville. We had 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts as far west as Weslaco and McAllen. And the storm surge. We had a peak storm tide of 8 to 14 feet at the coast. So we had flooding at South Padre Island from the storm surge, at Port Mansfield and parts of Port Isabel. And then Beulah was also known for the record number of tornadoes. Now most of them were in South and Central Texas, and that record stood until Hurricane Ivan in 2004, but Beulah was rare in the number of tornadoes that were associated with it. So what about the damages? So we had, and this is a 1967 dollars. We had $170 million statewide, $100 million for the Rio Grande Valley. So, you know, for our area, that would probably translate to about $700 million today. So total estimate damage was greater than a billion. This was the second on record at the time. The death toll, approximately 11 to possibly more than 15. 4 people were killed due to the tornadoes north of the area. So this is a look looking at the rainfall associated with Beulah. And you can see we had quite a bit of rain, not only at the coast, 16 inches at the coast. We also had about 20 to 24 inches of rainfall across the upper valley, across the Rio Grande City. And then we had about 25 inches to the north over the northern ranch lands. So we got a lot of rain with Hurricane Beulah. So that resulted in a lot of inland flooding, and it resulted in the record river flooding that we had on the Rio Grande. These are pictures looking at Harlingen, and these were from the heavy rains that continued through September 22nd, and the river flooding continued much longer, more than a week. So this is Camargo, just on the other side of Rio Grande City. This is the pictures from the river flooding. And so you can see the devastation associated, the aftermath of Hurricane Beulah, the rainfall that fell into the Rio Grande Basin and then came down from Falcon. And so back then in 1967, we had lots of people from Camargo coming over into the U.S. because of the flooding occurring up the Rio Grande. And I just found out that Dr. Ramirez passed away recently, and he was essential in getting all the state and federal agencies to assist with the people that were coming over. So the question is, what if Beulah happened today in 2017? Would we be ready for all the flooding associated with Beulah? Not only the inland flooding, but also the river flooding. Okay, so then wind damage was also another impact. And you can see these are pictures from Port Isabel, the damage associated with the winds. This is damage associated with the storm surge at the coast. This is Port Isabel and the Port of Brownsville, and back then in 1967. And then here's a plot of all the tornadoes that were associated with Hurricane Beulah. And you can see the majority of them were north of the Rio Grande Valley across central and south central Texas. Here's some pictures that people got near New Braunfels, north of San Antonio, some of the tornadoes associated with Beulah. So what about population? So this was we're looking at the census from 1970 compared to 2010. And I think I have a slide with numbers. So 355,180 back in 1970 compared to now, where we have 1,357,910. So the population has quadrupled since Beulah for our area. And as you can see, looking at the population, most of the population is in Hidalgo County, and then of course Cameron County, and to some extent Starr and Willacy County. So that's where the bulk of the population is. We do have a considerable amount of people that are considered low income for our area, and so that's another consideration that we have to take as far as the potential impacts from a Beulah today. So we have at least 100,000 people that live in the colonias here in the Rio Grande Valley, and of course many of the homes in the colonias look like this. And this is La Jolla. This is just from a severe thunderstorm. Well, it was a severe thunderstorm that produced 65-mile-an-hour winds, and you can see the structure almost completely destroyed, as if a tornado had gone through it. So imagine having a major hurricane coming through the Rio Grande Valley today. So I want to talk a little bit about the potential things that we can do as far as things, not so much today, but in the future. Is, in Florida, they use concrete in their building structures. And here in the valley, we're using, we're building the frames of our houses, and some of our other buildings, we're using the oriented strand board, and so the structures in Florida are able to withstand quite a bit more wind than they can here in the valley. So the construction does matter. So, unfortunately, depending on the cost, not everybody can maybe afford to have the type of structures that they have in Florida. Okay, so then this is some more examples. This was in Gran Genio, the storm that we had, severe storm that moved through there in May of last year. And so the rebar reinforced walls were good, but you can see the damage that was done because of the connections to the roof, that it wasn't able to withstand the impacts from the winds. And so these winds were 85 to 95 miles an hour. Once again, we're talking about Category 1, Category 2 hurricane equivalent. And so this is just from a severe thunderstorm. We're not talking about a major hurricane. So obviously, if we had our homes and other buildings with possibly hurricane straps on the frames, reinforcing it, nails versus bolts on the ground connections, maybe that would make a difference. So these are some of the things that we could do, maybe to try to mitigate some of the issues, maybe raising our structures off the ground. That would at least help mitigate some of the flooding issues. And then with roofs, that's going to be very problematic if the structures aren't really well built. So that's a concern as well with the wind. So another aspect was, of course, the Rio Grande River. And so if people remember, after Hurricane Alex in 2010, we had some significant flooding on the Rio Grande. And so back in 1967, the floodway didn't do a good job on protecting the Rio Grande Valley. So after Beulah, the floodways were improved. And then in 2010, when we had Hurricane Alex, they did additional improvements so that in the case that we did have another Hurricane Beulah, we'd be able to handle at least the water that's coming downstream from Falcon down the Rio Grande to divert that water into the floodways. Okay, so let's see. This was some flooding that we had over Willacy County back in October of 2015, not associated with a hurricane, but kind of comparable, because this was 14 to 18 inches of rain, and this is what you could see from even a tropical storm. You can see that type of rainfall. So it doesn't have to be a major hurricane in order to get that type of flooding to occur. Okay, so then this is the soils across the area. Obviously, we have more sand across the coastal sections, and then as you go further inland, it's more clay, and so depending on the areas that we live in, the soil is going to determine how much permeability we have as far as rainfall. And so the clays, unfortunately, are going to not allow the water to sink into the soil, whereas the sand along the coast, we can get a lot of rain across the coast, but the sand will allow most of that rain to pass into the soil. Okay, and so this is just another example looking at the permeability of the different types of soils across the area. And so we've got clay soils, loamy soils, and sandy soils, and it's a mix. It's a mix between the sand and the clay. and it, and there's some other soils mixed in too. So it's a mix because we're kind of close to the coast. There's some sand, but there's some also clay and some of the other types of soils. Okay, and so this is just looking at population and looking at the soils as well. And so where the population is where we have more of the clay soils that aren't going to handle the rainfall very well. Okay, so is the infrastructure keeping up with the growth? So we're looking at going back to Beulah back in 1967 versus the population, and then Dolly, which was in 2008, and we're looking at population for Cameron and Hidalgo. And so the population has continued to increase. And so then in the future, we're looking at, where the population will be, 1,200,000 for just Hidalgo and Cameron counties. So that's a good question. Is the infrastructure keeping up with the rapid growth that we're seeing? Okay, so this was pictures back in 1967 on the top. There wasn't a lot of buildings on South Padre Island, but what buildings were there were fairly old and not able to withstand the winds and the storm surge. So today, it's quite a bit different. We have a lot more buildings, a lot more roads, but they're able to withstand stronger winds. But if we did have another Beulah, we could see damages exceeding $1 billion just at the island alone. So where are we today? So favorable, coordinated valley-wide evacuation and sheltering plans, improved in hurricane evacuation studies. We're looking at how we can use the ARRA and potential border wall funds to improve the strength of the levees along the Rio Grande. We've seen that with some of the border fence structures that they've been able to improve the levees along the Rio Grande. Stronger building codes through the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association. So unfavorable, population and farms replacing wetlands on loamy soil. So we're seeing more situations where we're getting these lakes that develop because of the soil. So we saw that in Willacy County with that storm that we had a couple years ago, where it changed the area into like Lake Willacy because of the amount of rainfall that fell over the area. The oriented strand board versus concrete block systems, especially close to the coast. The roof, the truss, the beam clip strap systems, are those enough for the wind? The colonias, so we have over 1,500 colonias with thousands of substandard housing, and the people that live in those communities don't really have a trust of the federal government. So they are obviously being impacted by the wind and the rainfall potential for flooding. And then of course South Padre Island, with the cost of the structures on the island compared to 1967, we're looking at considerable amount of damage money-wise from storm surge and wind. So is it too late? Yeah, and so I don't want to be the pessimist and say that it is. I want to be optimistic and say that we can if we as a community and with our local and state leaders to address some of these issues, then I think we could mitigate a lot of what potentially could happen if we had another Hurricane Beulah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take some questions if okay. Okay, so like when we get water spouts, typically they move across, they usually turn into a land spout. There have been occasions where they've transitioned to tornadoes, but that's kind of rare. So they usually weaken once they move inland, but we do see land spouts develop once they move across the coast, but in general they do weaken. So you're talking about associated with the hurricane, or?
Well, either way, hurricanes to the north of you, tornadoes could go from the downward to us, storm and landfall up Fort Christie.
Right. So there's a combination of things depending on the direction of landfall. If it's coming in directly from the east, and let's say it's moving just south of Brownsville, so then we're being like in the favorable northeast quadrant of the storm. So then we would typically see quite a bit of tornadoes and water spouts. I think the threat would be equal regardless of whether the water spouts were moving inland. I think we'd see the tornadoes developing inland in addition to the water spouts developing offshore. They're very short-lived. They don't cause a lot of damage, but where they do spin up, and including the water spouts, can cause considerable damage depending on the structures. So that it's highly dependent on location. It's also highly dependent on the way the storm moves. And so there's, each storm is different, and the tornado risk is always different. Someone else had a question? Right. So that's always an issue because when you're trying to think of, okay, especially areas that have poor drainage, okay, and we know there are areas with poor drainage, especially the colonias. They really don't have any type of storm water system to deal with the type of rainfall associated with hurricanes or tropical storms in general. And so, yes, that's an issue. And so it always comes down to money because it takes money in order to do these improvements for these areas in low-lying areas with poor drainage. And so that's one of the challenges that every time we deal with any type of heavy rainfall, not just tropical systems, but any type of heavy rainfall, there are areas that are impacted by heavy rainfall, but they just can't handle, either they can't handle how fast the rain is falling, or they can't handle, if it's 8, 9, 12 inches of rainfall. They just can't handle either the amount or the rate of the rainfall. And so there are some areas that have great drainage areas, and they still have issues. If like we're getting 6 inches of rainfall per hour, there's still areas that are going to flood no matter how established the storm drainage systems are in cases of the flood. But then you've got other areas that it takes only 3 or 4 inches for the area to flood. So that's always been an issue. As far as I've been here, and I've been here in Brownsville since 1999, and I've seen those issues since I've been here, and we still have them today. Right. So each area, yeah, is that coming up? Okay. So that's coming up. I don't want to steal thunder from the next presentation, but yeah, we do have designated areas. Obviously, the basic plan is this. So we want people to evacuate from the storm surge because that's the primary threat, especially along the coast. So we want to get those people out first, okay? So the idea is, okay, we got to get the people from South Padre Island and and Port Mansfield, get those people evacuated because the storm surge comes in, then there's no way to get those people out, okay? And then obviously further inland, we have to look and see, okay, what's the risk for storm surge further inland. Will it impact Brownsville? Would it impact Harlingen? And depending on the location of where you live and the intensity of the storm and the storm surge generated with it, will determine whether we need to evacuate those people. So the general idea is we want people to evacuate from the water from coming in from the ocean, but if you're just being impacted by wind, then we generally want people to, if they can, shelter in place. But not everybody's going to be able to shelter in place. So it just, that's the general plan. But there's designated evacuation routes for different areas depending on based on the storm surge. And so I think that's going to be in the next presentation. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
That was Mike Castillo from National Weather Service. Now we've got Liliana Cantu. She's with Belinda Zapata Farmers Insurance, and she's going to go ahead and talk to us about hazard and flood insurance at this moment.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Hi. We're going to be talking to you today about hazard and flood insurance, the importance of knowing how we are covered. For everybody, everybody here in the Valley, the most important single largest investment that you will ever make is your home. Most of us only have one home throughout our lives, so we want to make sure that it's completely and properly insured. Is your family properly insured? Is your home paid, or is there a mortgage on the home? This is some things that we have to make sure that we know what we have in our policy. Is your personal belongings properly insured? Some of us go and buy a home and we have a mortgage and they place an insurance on our home and we don't even know what we have in it. We've been paying our home for 10, 15 years and we have the same policy and we don't know what's in that policy. Most of the time we don't even know if we have the correct coverage for our belongings and for our property. Fire coverage. The most important thing is to know and understand your deductibles. Sometimes we have a loss in our home and we go and try to make a claim on our home and we don't know what our deductible is. We end up saying, okay, well, I have this loss and I'm gonna go ahead and make a claim. And you go make a claim and you don't know the amount of your deductible. Is it a 1%? Is it a 2%? Is it $1,500, $2,000, $4,000? We don't know. You have a loss and sometimes it's $500, $800. You make a claim because you don't know how much your deductible is. You're already tagged with a claim, and they're not even going to be able to cover it because it's less than your deductible. So it's very important that you know how much your deductibles are. If you've had your policy for more than 5 years and you haven't gone to your insurance specialist and have it reviewed, I recommend that you all go and do that because prices change. You were covered 10 years ago for whatever, your property was, the price of the property back then. But everything changes, material price changes, so you want to make sure that you have the right coverage for your home and your belongings. Replacement cost versus actual cash value. What that means is that some companies will do replacement cost. That means that if you have a loss, let's say it's a theft loss, whatever it is, and you got property from you got stolen, and you said, okay, well, it was a living room, and it cost me $5,000 5 years ago. Some companies would do replacement cost, which means what cost you at the moment that you bought that piece of furniture. And other companies will do what it is actual cash value. They'll tell you, okay, it was worth $5,000 10 years ago, but now we're only going to give you this because this is what it is. Most people don't know the difference between one and the other, and you want to make sure that you know all this before you go and make a claim and before you pick an insurance. You want to make sure that everything is covered correctly. Is there enough coverage to rebuild your home at today's prices. This is what I was telling you before. If you have a policy and you've had it for 10 years, 5 years, and you haven't reviewed it, I recommend that you do, because if something does happen, material prices do change, and if you have a loss, you want to make sure that you're correctly covered. Many people say, okay, well, I have a policy. It's a grandparent policy. They don't sell it anymore. It's really cheap. It's $500 a year. And you go to another company and say, well, we can't match that. This is what we have now. You say, well, I'm not going to get out of it. But if something does happen, is it going to cover you? Is it going to be there for you? Or are you just throwing your money to the trash every year when you're paying your insurance? So we got to make sure that we know our coverages and that we are correctly covered. Hurricane, wind, and hail. As we all know, the hurricane season runs from June 1st through November 30th. There's no waiting period to purchase windstorm. Have a hurricane checklist for better preparation. We all have to be prepared. We have to know our routes. Make sure that you know what is covered. Make sure that you know if you have that wind coverage and how much is it covering you for. Most companies will sell you their fire insurance and then the wind separate. And there are different coverages. The fire will cover your home for a certain amount of money, and the wind will cover your home for another amount of money. Sometimes it's $150,000 for your fire policy, but the wind is only covered for $80,000. Oh, surprise. And we don't know this because, you know what, it's so cheap. I want to save money, you know, I only pay this much. But it's important to know what they're covering you for. Is my company selling me the policy, a complete policy, fire and wind, and are you guys covering me the same amount of coverage for both? Or are you selling me the fire through you guys and the wind through another company? What is it? Some of us don't even know. I have customers that come over and they say, well, I don't know, the bank takes my money. Okay, well, do you know what they're covering you for? No, it's through the escrow. I don't know what I have. So I recommend that you guys, if you don't know what you have, call your bank, call your mortgage, ask them, who is my agent? Believe it or not, there are a lot of people out there that don't even know who their agent is. They've never spoken to them. They've been paying their homes for 5 or 10 years, and you don't even know where your money's going to, right? Then when we need it, you're like, well, I didn't know this, or I didn't read the little tiny letters right here. That's why you have an agent, people. That's what you're paying money for. They're supposed to be there for you to explain every single coverage. And if they don't, there's many other agents that are going to be happy to take a look at your current policy just to let you know what you have, okay? So make sure that you all know what you're covered for. Payment plans are available to purchase windstorm. If you have a fire policy because your home is already paid off, most of the people that I've gotten, my customers, that their homes are paid off, they'll come over to us and they say, I have fire coverage, but since I'm not paying my home anymore, I don't want the windstorm. It's too expensive. So since the bank doesn't require it, I'm not going to buy it. Well, you know, 10 years ago, your home didn't belong to you. It belonged to the bank because you were still paying it. Doesn't it make more sense to cover it now that it's really yours? Something that's happened to it, unless you have $150,000 in the bank to rebuild your home, and what are you going to do? Oh, well, I'd rather save $800 a year than to, you know, because I have $150,000. I don't have $150,000 in the bank. So I always tell my customers, well, you were covering it 5 years ago when you were still paying it when it wasn't yours. Now that it's fully yours, you don't care about it? You don't care to cover it? Well, so what's going to happen if something does, you know, it's been a long time since we haven't gotten hit by a hurricane, but we're not going to be this lucky forever, people. Make sure you all understand your coverages, call your insurance, and like I said, they do have payment plans for windstorm policies. Flood insurance. Flood insurance is now 100% reinsured by the U.S. federal government through the National Flood Insurance Program. There's a 30-day waiting period. It is imposed unless coverage is required by your mortgage company. So once you purchase the flood insurance, they make you wait 30 days before it's effective, okay? Everyone lives in one of 6 flood zones, A, B, C, D, X, and V. Flood zones A and V are high risk. Everybody that lives on a flood zone are required to have an elevation certificate when you're gonna purchase flood insurance. So We've already spoken about flood insurance, windstorm, and fire. It is important to know our coverages. Like I said, think about it. You've been paying your insurance for 5, even if you're paying it for 2 years and you haven't visited your insurance agent, go ahead, go talk to them. Let them know, you know what, I just want to review my coverage. I want to know that my coverage are correct. And they have to do it for you because you're paying them. And if they don't have the time for you, go look for somebody else. They're going to explain your coverages to you. They are supposed to give you a copy of it, and somebody else will be happy to go through them with you guys. So it was a very brief presentation. If you have any questions about it, I know they're running behind. So we have a booth over there inside, right? Yeah. It's going to be the third table. If you have any questions, we can answer any questions that you have. And thank you guys for listening to me. I was very much nervous. It's my first presentation. We're going to be passing around some pamphlets right now. Thank you, guys. Huh? Yes.
We want to thank her very much for that, for all the information that we were getting. And we're going to go ahead and do a few more prizes right now before we go on to our next speaker. I know it's been a little bit of a wait, but hopefully everybody still remembers what their numbers are. 22766. 22766. 22766. Back there? Okay, come on up, ma'am. Next one, 22671. 22671. 22671. 22671. Going once, going twice, and gone. 22641. 2264. We have a winner way back there. Come on up, sir. Two 22818. 22818. 22818. 22818. We want to give these prizes away. 22818. 22818. Okay, next number. 22817. 22817. 22817. 22817. Next number. 22857. 22857. 22857. 22857. Tampoco. 22533. 22533. 22533. 22533. No takers. Okay. 22676. 22676. 22676. 22676. 22849. 22849. 22849. Wow, it's getting tense in here. Okay, next number. Oh, okay, there we go. It's 22849. Next number. 22821. Thank you for breaking the ice. It was getting too long there. 22821. 22821. 22821. Last call for 22821. 22654. 22654. 22683. 22683. There we go. Let's give all our winners a hand. Oh, one more. I'm sorry. Here we go. 22585. 22585. And there we go. We have our last winner for this section. We're going to go ahead and bring out our next presenter, and that's going to be Mr. John Ovaya from the Texas Division of Emergency Management. He is going to be talking about hurricane evacuation, and that's kind of like the 211 information that the gentleman from the National Weather Service was talking about. So let's go ahead and give John Ovaya a big round of applause, and we're going to go ahead and get started with that presentation.
All right. So, I know you want that instead of that, right? You want the price of that. See? So I'm going to keep it very short and sweet. All right? So the question is, here's a question for everybody in this room right now. Are you all ready or not? When I say ready, are you ready for hurricane season? Or you're ready all the time? Because it's not just hurricane that we should be concerned about, but also you should be ready for those storms that come in the middle of the night, okay, like what happened back in October of 2015. Didn't we have some flooding down here in Brownsville? A lot of homes were impacted. So the question is, are you ready? Are you ready for that moment when you get that weather alert on your phones, okay, saying there's a storm coming in? Are you ready for you to evacuate? So I'm going to make this interactive here today. Everybody get your phone. Everybody has a phone here, okay? And we're going to make it interactive here today. If you have one of those smartphones or iPhones, get them out. Get them out, okay? Get them out. All right? Let's do this. Everybody knows how to do a Google search or go on there. Okay. Type in this address. Type in this address on your search engine. That's what we call them. Okay. Type in Texas, Texas, prepares, prepares.org. All right? You type that in there, and there it is. You go in there, and this can help you make a plan. Okay? TexasPrepare.org. Okay? You go in there, and you can make a plan right there to find out what is it that you need to do in case we have a major storm, a flood, or that coastal hurricane threat. Because to me, all of them are scary. All right? We got to make a plan. So this process here, this program right here, okay, this website, you go on there, it can help you make a plan for yourself, for your families, okay, for our older parents, and also we cannot forget, okay, we cannot forget a plan for the little Texans, which is our pets, all right? Okay, so we have to make a plan for them as well. Because when we evacuate, we're bringing everybody with us. And we cannot forget our pets. You need to have a plan for them as well. All right? So you go on there, make that plan. Share that plan with your loved ones. Know if the city mayor orders an evacuation or the county judge orders an evacuation of this area here, know your plan. Where is it that you're going to be going? Okay? Question. Let me ask this question. Do you all have an evacuation plan? You see? The plan is to start today so y'all can be ready, because when that storm comes in, you know, it might be 120 hours out, which is 5 days, but when that storm gets closer, okay, 96, 72, okay, 36, 48, okay, I miscounted there, right? So, but it gets closer, time's running out. So time is our enemy when we have that coastal threat. So that's why it's very important that right now have a plan for yourself, for your families. Let your loved ones know where you're going, but also know the routes how to get there. Because imagine the whole area here evacuating at the same time. What do you think the traffic's going to be? There's going to be a lot of vehicles, right? So I think it's best to evacuate a little bit early. And the thing is, listen to your public safety officials. Okay? Listen to your elected officials. If they're telling you to evacuate, you need to evacuate. Hurricane Matthew that just struck Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, it's unfortunate that we lost lives there. We lost 45 people in that hurricane. 45. To me, one person lost, that's a lot. Okay? We had to do, okay, when I say we, I'm talking about the responders, okay, your firefighters, your police officers. They had to do 800 rescues by boat, going to their homes and getting people out because they didn't evacuate. So by doing that, guess what's going on? We're putting our responders at risks. Our plan is to let you know to evacuate and shelter, to get you out of harm's way, because we don't want to go out there in the middle of the storm. You're calling 911 when winds are going about 75, close to 100 miles an hour. Now you're putting the responders at risk because you didn't want to evacuate. All right? This year marks the 50th anniversary of Hurricane Beulah. Who's lived through Hurricane Beulah here? Okay? How bad was that storm? Okay? It was a real bad storm. Okay? So can it happen again? Absolutely. But the thing is, now we have the technology. Okay? Now we have a lot of resources here that can help you evacuate from this area here. Okay? But it takes you to do that. You need to be ready. We don't want to be ready. We want to be ready. Okay? So, again, this is an awesome website. They can go on there so you can check out what the plans are, what you can do to evacuate and prepare your family, all right? And also some additional information for other things. But again, I don't want to take too much of your time because I know y'all want those prizes, right? So, again, I want you to be safe, okay? We, the state of Texas, the Texas Department of Public Safety, the Division of Emergency Management, we want you to have a plan. We want you to make sure that when the time comes, that you can evacuate early enough and go to a safe haven area, okay? Y'all be safe. We'll see you next time, okay? Thank you.
So now we're going to go on to some door prizes while we wait. That's going to be the one. First winning number is 22575. 22575. 22575. They went to the restroom. No, they called me. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. You don't have to spend every time.
32. They got it more. 32. It's the lantern, Miss Ori. It's the lantern in front.
Here we go. 22727. 22727. 22727. 22727. Next number, 22839. 22839. 22839. 22839. 22560. 22560. There we go. Yeah, that's right, ma'am. Let's all clap for our winners. 22579. 22579. 22579. 22579.
Can you make an announcement? No holding chairs. There's people standing outside that are elderly that would like to sit down.
Okay. We do have to make a brief announcement real quick. If there's an empty space next to you, could you please scoot in? We do have some elderly people that need seats outside, and we can We would really like to be able to use the spaces. So if you have any empty spaces, just go ahead and scoot in. That way we know that there's place for them to sit. If you're holding a spot for someone, unfortunately, we do have a full house, so we need every spot that's available. So if they're not here, we need that space. Thank you. And the next number is 228-40. 228-40. 228-40. 228-40.
Before you go on, can we do the raffle of these flowers from Valle Villarreal Dental Center?
I'm grabbing from here, I'm putting down here, whatever. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna call from whatever. 226-32. 226-32. 226-32. 226-32. No takers. Okay.
Now we're going to switch to this ticket.
Okay, we're going to switch to this other ticket.
Valle Villarreal Dental Center.
Valle Villarreal Dental Center gave us this bouquet of flowers, this flower arrangement, and so it's yours if you have ticket number 266876. It's the gray ticket, 266876.
Norma Lopez.
Yes.
266-876. Yes. Yes. That's actually my mother. Did you need the ticket? No, right?
Okay. Back to the green tickets or the green wristbands. If your number is 22652, come on up for your prize. 22652. 22652. 22802. 22802. There we go. I like that better. 22826. 22826. We don't want to break the streak. 22826. 22826. Somebody back there, come on up. There we go. Let's give them a big round of applause there. Next winner is 22738. 22738. 22738. 22738. Okay. Next person gets a chance, and that is 22577. 22577. 22577. 22577. No takers. 22543. 22543. Ah, there we go.
The other one's my mom. 22543.
And just to clarify, so nobody like tackles her on the way out, that was a whole other giveaway on the flowers, okay? Just clearing that up. 22878. 22878. 22878. Over there. Come on up, sir. Is that one? Is that
Can we call this?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
This isn't it, right?
22594. 22594. 22594. There we go. That's yours.
How many more presentations do we have?
22665. 22665. Come on up, sir.
It's
22778. 22778. 22778. 22778.
17. It's a gift on top.
22850. 22850. 22850. Y'all are trying to trick me. People move and I think they're coming up. Okay, 22823. 22823. 22823. 22823. Oh, somebody got up? I thought it was them. Okay. Next one. 22747. 22747. 22747. 22747. Nobody. Wow. Okay. 22628. Come on up.
Take out some.
22883. 228. Come on up, sir. Okay, before I keep going, are y'all excited about this? You got too quiet there. I was worried. Okay, 22710. 22710. 22710. 22710. No, okay. 22664. 22664. 22664. 22664. Okay, I'm trying to speed it up so I don't cause you tension. I don't want to give anybody an ulcer, 22824. 22824. 22824. 22824. Next one. Oh, these two are stuck together. 22866. Somebody had a number nearby. 22866. 22866. 22866. Okay, next one. 22675. 226. Oh, here we go. 22867. 22867. Oh, there we go, back there. And while she gets her prize, I want to go ahead and introduce our Director of Public Health. His name is Art Rodriguez, and he's going to talk to us about pet and animal emergency preparedness. So let's give him a warm round of applause, and let's greet him. He's got a lot of information for us.
Thank you. Well, I know it's been a very interesting afternoon, and we want to thank you for taking the time to coming out today. But many times we forget during emergencies about our pets, and something that we learned during hurricane events is that sometimes people rush out during an emergency and leave their pets behind. I want to introduce Nelly Zamora. She's our animal shelter manager. And before I start, if you ever want to come out and adopt one of our pets from our shelter, please come out. We're located on FM 511, and we're open 6 days a week. I want to begin by telling everyone that millions of people are pet owners, and one of the best things that you can do for your pet is preparing ahead for an emergency. The likelihood that you're going to reunite with your pet is low if you don't take precautionary measures beforehand. Preparing for your pets in case of an emergency is really important because you may not be able to come back in to your home for days, for hours, or for weeks. So if an evacuation of your neighborhood or your city is called, have you made plans for what you're going to do with your pet? Are you going to board them, or are you going to take them with you? And if you're going to take them with you, do you have your vaccine records? And is your pet potentially microchipped? So one of the things, before I get into microchipping and other things, is that just like we ask people to have a kit, an emergency kit for themselves for preparing in case of an emergency, is your pet's going to need food and water as well. And if your pet is on medicines, you're going to need those too. We often tell people that plan as your pet as a family member, and that makes it easier when you're doing emergency planning. Just like they ask you to have a bag for a member of the family, have one for your pet ready to go. If your pet is not the friendly pet, and there's a cat and a dog involved, you may need to bring a crate or a carrier. And that's more of a safety for your pet than anything else, because if a pet gets scared, whether it's a cat or a dog, he may run out in the road or he may run out into danger. And that's one of the things that you want to be cautious about. Also, you want to think about sanitation, especially if you're going to be on the road with a pet and the stops that you're going to do along the way. Another thing people forget to do, and now in the age of smartphones, is have a photo of your pet. Take them regularly and be ready to produce a photo of your pet, and also consider having a printout in case your cell phone goes dead or the batteries go low, especially during an emergency. Keep it with your kit, a photograph, a paper photograph of your pet. The other thing is animals get stressed out just like we do. So if they have a favorite toy, if they have something that de-stresses them, bring those toys just like you would for a small child. Pets need to be distressed also, and whatever you can do to help reduce their stress will really help you in the long run. So after a disaster, if after a disaster you have to leave town and you need to take your pet with you, if you leave a pet behind, especially during a hurricane, the chances of your pet surviving is very low. And that may not be the popular thing to say, but it's the realistic thing to say. So be very thoughtful about your pets when you're leaving them behind, because if you leave them behind, you're probably not going to find them in how you left them. They get stressed out, and they're going to try and bite their way out of their, if you leave them chained up, which is illegal, you shouldn't. But if the water rises, they may drown, they may overheat. So please be forward thinking in those things and prepare for a disaster. The behavior of your pets may change after an emergency because they're stressed out. A normally quiet and friendly pet may become aggressive and defensive. It doesn't mean that's who the pet is. It just means that under the circumstances, they're reacting to that new environment. And you need to think of those circumstances where your friendly pet may leash out and bite you as well, because during those times, he may need some assistance. So I'm moving through this very fast, but I want you to think about some websites that we put a lot of links here. We're going to make these available on our website, and you're going to see a very similar presentation to this on Channel 12 that runs on our regular TV. What's most important are the links, the American Red Cross and the Pet Friendly Hotel Searches and the FEMA and Texas Health and Human Services. Those are the more important websites because they are updated. Some of them are government websites. And many times the reality is that sometimes you cannot take your pet with you for other circumstances because you yourself may not have the transportation. but think ahead who you're going to leave them with or where they're going to be placed ahead of an emergency. And that's really the most important thing that we want to say to you about pets. Microchipping, as you know, the city passed an ordinance that went into effect in January on microchipping. We have reunited so many pets back to their owners or the owners to their pets because of the microchipping ordinance. This is meant to reunite your pet back with you because they can't tell us what their address is. But if you have it microchipped, we can scan it and the chip would tell us what veterinarian or what doctor did the service, and we're able to make some phone calls and try and connect through that number. Now, the microchip is not a GPS thing. It's not going to track your pet on your cell phone. You know, he's in the neighbor's house looking for Fifi. That's not going to happen. The microchip is just meant if someone steals your dog and you say, that's my dog, no, it's mine. If you have your pet microchip and you know the number and we scan it, we know who really owns that dog. So it's also meant to cut down on theft of animals, which does occur often. Before I close, I need to thank our staff. They work very hard at the shelter. They're the unsung heroes. Ricky, Nelly, thank you. If you have any questions, please call us at BARC or at the health department. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Art, for that presentation and for all that information. We're going to go ahead and call Nick Barrera and Jimmy Rivera from Republic Services. They've got information on brush and bulk services provided by Republic Services.
Thank you. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. I know you didn't stick around to listen to our speech. I know that for a fact. But I like to think that they saved the best for last. We got a little gifts that we've donated to the city like we did last year. Somebody even remembered that I happened to win the grand prize last year. And I did. I was really lucky. And we donated it back, and a gentleman won it. He was very pleased that he won, and I was happy to see him win. We're going to keep it real brief. Let me introduce Omar Rodriguez. He's the Republic Services Municipal's liaison manager. Nick Barrera, he's the operations manager in charge of the Rio Grande Valley. He oversees the contract with the city of Brownsville, Republic Services. We do your municipal garbage collection. We do brush collection, bulky waste, and he's going to talk about that. So, without further ado, Mr. Nicolas Barrera.
Thank you all very much. Once again, we're going to keep it short and sweet. That way we can get to the big prize. One thing that I did want to notify the community about is if there is a hurricane or a disaster, Republic Services is the second largest garbage company in the nation. So we're able to pull resources from throughout the United States to come to the Rio Grande Valley to assist in cleanup. One thing about partnering with Republic Services is when the cleanup is finished, we're still here. So if anything else comes about, we're still here to clean it up. On the brush and bulky, we have schedules here. We were passing out schedules at the table. We have it broke down in 4 sections. We have the exact dates that we're going to be there. If there is a hurricane that gets into the Gulf, we'll pull all of our resources from the valley to come to the city of Brownsville to start picking up all the sections. And that way, there's not anything in the front yard, possible blowing debris or anything. It does have what we do and do not pick up. If you have a bunch of construction debris, 2x4s, plywood, we will not pick that up. We do not accept that, okay? But everything's labeled on the brush schedule, what we can and cannot pick up. And it is also on channel 12. This brush schedule is on channel 12. So Jimmy's going to translate everything in Spanish. Once again, we partner with the city of Brownsville has partnered with us to take care of this community. We are here I believe we serve this community very proudly. We hire about 47 employees from the from Brownsville that actually drive our garbage trucks for us. So the people that work here live here, and they take pride in their community. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Nick. Nicely done. Again, we're going to try to keep it real short. We know it got awfully warm in here because everybody's getting excited about the big prize. Voy a hablar rápidamente sobre de la colección de rama y artículos grandes. Tenemos esta información en inglés y en español. También está listo en el canal 12 para que lo revisen. También el 546 Help, la oficina de Auxiliar Emergency Management. Hablen si es que no le colectan su material. Y ellos nos dan la información a nosotros preparamos un equipo para que salga a recoger el material. ¿Ok? ¿Alguna pregunta antes de que pasamos para atrás? El micrófono. Nada, ya quieren que nos vayan, ahora rápido. Yo estoy con usted. Gracias por su atención. Quiero dar muchas gracias a Ori Leal y su Odi and her crew has been excellent year after year. Jessica, Cynthia, all the young ladies, they do a fine job putting this thing together. It's a lot of work. Thank you, Odi, for what you do for the community and for the city of Brownsville. It's greatly appreciated, and we're glad to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jimmy. So those of you that do not know, we have a call center in the city of Brownsville. We have the 546 HELP call center, which is 546 HELP, 546-4357. If you have any type of a concern or a question, you can call us Monday through Friday between 8 and 5, and we have customer service specialists answering the phone, assisting you. So any type of a concern or question, whether there's a pothole on the street, there's a tree down, they haven't picked up your garbage, you need your garbage bin replaced, anything like that, you call 546 HELP and we can assist you with that. Anybody have any questions? You can also call. You can also call to say that we are doing an awesome job. Not only Republic Services, but I can say as the Director of Emergency Management who oversees a call center, our customer service reports have gone down, and the ones that come in are taken care of appropriately within the time allocated. So I must say that our city crews and Republic Services are doing an awesome job out there attending to you all's concerns. If at any time you all have any questions or a concern that has not been taken care of, feel free to ask for Odi Leal at 546-4357, and I can go ahead and assist you.